Have you ever seen someone's pride meet true humility, and watched love turn an insult into something unforgettable? Today, I'm going to tell you a story that will change the way you see people, and I promise, you'll want to hear every single moment. Meet Daniel Hayes. He's a single dad, working as a janitor at the towering Silverstone Tower. Every morning, before the city even wakes up, Daniel is already there, mop in hand, cleaning floors that gleam under the first rays of sunlight. But his work isn't just about cleaning, it's about survival, about giving his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, a better life. At home, Lily probably sits with her crayons, drawing stars, superheroes, and maybe even her dad as her greatest hero. And to Daniel, that little word, hero, keeps him going through every long shift, every sore muscle, every tired night. His co-workers sometimes tease him for working too hard, but Daniel just smiles. He doesn't complain, he doesn't argue. For him, doing the right thing quietly, day after day, is what really matters. But that morning, something, or someone, was different. Among the team, a new person appeared. A woman, quiet, hesitant, wearing worn-out sneakers and a faded hoodie. She didn't talk much, but Daniel noticed her instantly. There was something about her. Something unusual. Who is she, and why does she feel so out of place? And how will she change Daniel's world forever? Not all new faces are what they seem. Alex, the new janitor, looked completely lost as she struggled with the cleaning tools. She fumbled with the mop bucket, almost dropped the disinfectant, and seemed unsure of what to do next. Daniel noticed right away. Without a word of judgment, he walked over and showed her how to handle the equipment properly. He even offered her half of his lunch when he saw she hadn't brought any. Daniel wasn't doing it to impress anyone. He wasn't showing off. He was just kind, patient, calm. Every tip, every smile, made Alex feel like she actually belonged, even though she clearly didn't. Watching him, Alexandra Pierce, the billionaire CEO herself, hidden under a hoodie and worn-out sneakers, felt something she hadn't felt in years. His strength wasn't in money or power. It was in his heart. The way he talked about his daughter Lily, the way he carried himself through exhaustion and hard work, it struck her deeply. And for the first time in a long time, she felt human, real, connected. But she still had a secret. No one knew who she really was, not yet. And the moment the truth came out, everything was going to change. Would Daniel see her the same way? And how would her presence shake up his quiet, steady life? A week can change everything. For a whole week, Alexandra worked side by side with Daniel. Every day was the same routine, mopping floors, organizing supplies, and cleaning offices. But through it all, she began to notice things she had never seen before. Life outside her world of wealth wasn't easy. It was hard, yes, but it was also full of moments of real care and quiet strength. Daniel never complained. He never rushed. He just worked with patience, teaching her the small things, sharing little lessons along the way without even realizing it. The way he moved, the way he smiled when he spoke about Lily, even the way he quietly encouraged others, it all made a deep impression on her. She found herself thinking about him more than she expected. The life she had taken for granted suddenly felt empty compared to the warmth and sincerity she saw in Daniel and his world. And then, just when she thought she had a handle on this new perspective, the office announced an unexpected meeting. Everyone was curious, but Alexandra felt a nervous flutter she couldn't shake. What was this meeting about? And how would the day change everything she thought she knew about the people around her? What happens when the truth finally comes out? The janitorial team was gathered in the lobby, chatting and joking like any other morning, when Alexandra stepped onto the stage. Gone was the faded hoodie and worn-out sneakers. In her place was a crisp white suit, polished heels, and a presence that made every head turn. Gasps filled the room. Daniel froze, mop still in his hand, staring at her in shock. She looked around at everyone, a small, proud smile on her face. "For the past week, I've been working among you," she said. "I wanted to see what life is really like down here." Then, with a glance at Daniel, she added, "It's humbling, though I guess not everyone can rise above where they start." The lobby went completely silent. Some employees shifted uncomfortably, unsure where to look. But Daniel didn't get angry. He calmly set down the mop, looked her in the eye, and said, "Ma'am, the real lesson isn't in pretending to be poor. It's in treating people kindly, no matter who they are. His voice was quiet, steady, and full of truth. Alexandra didn't expect that. She had expected shock, maybe embarrassment, but not this quiet strength, not this calm dignity. For the first time, she realized that real power didn't come from money or titles. It came from the heart. And in that moment, everything changed. She would never look at Daniel, or herself, the same way again. What would she do now, knowing the truth about herself and the man in front of her? Even the proud can learn humility. That night, Alexandra couldn't sleep. She lay in her luxurious apartment, tossing and turning, replaying Daniel's words over and over in her mind. Treat people kindly, no matter who they are. Simple, yet powerful. She realized how harsh she had been, how quick she was to judge, and how completely she had underestimated him. Guilt settled in her chest like a heavy weight. She hadn't just tested him, she had looked down on him, thinking her status made her better. But Daniel, he hadn't reacted with anger or shame. He had shown her something far stronger: patience, dignity, and humanity. By morning, she knew she couldn't just leave it at that. She had to make things right, to face him not as a CEO, not as someone above him, but as a human being who had learned a lesson. She made a decision that would change everything. She was going to visit Daniel in his neighborhood. What would happen when she saw him in his world, among his life and his daughter? Could she really bridge the gap between their very different lives? A simple apology can start a chain reaction. The next day, Alexandra found herself in Daniel's neighborhood. He was outside, fixing a broken streetlight, and Lily was happily passing him tools with a big grin. The sight stopped her for a moment. This was a life so different from her own, yet full of warmth and care she had never experienced. Taking a deep breath, she walked up to him and said softly, "Daniel, I was wrong. I let pride speak for me, and I'm sorry." Daniel looked up, wiped his hands, and gave her a faint, understanding smile. "We all make mistakes," he said. "What matters is what we learn from them." That simple exchange, honest and heartfelt, broke the walls between them. Alexandra felt a weight lift off her shoulders, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a genuine connection, not based on status, wealth, or power, but on respect, kindness, and understanding. From that day on, a friendship began to grow. They laughed together, shared stories, and slowly learned about each other's worlds. And the question lingered: how far would this new bond go, and how would it change both their lives? When friendship starts to feel like something more. Over the next few weeks, Alexandra kept coming back. She helped Lily with her homework, brought little meals for them, and most importantly, she just listened. She listened to Daniel talk about his day, his struggles, and his dreams for Lily. She didn't try to impress anyone, didn't talk about her wealth or her life as a CEO. None of that mattered here. Daniel welcomed her without hesitation. He didn't treat her differently, didn't expect anything in return. Slowly, their friendship grew, simple but strong. Alexandra started feeling warmth and connection she hadn't felt in years. Daniel saw her not as a CEO or a stranger, but as someone real, kind, and trustworthy. Their bond was becoming more than just a friendship. It was something deeper, something that could truly change both their lives. And the question hung in the air: how far would this connection go, and what would it mean for them both? Recognition comes in unexpected ways. Months passed, and Alexandra wanted to show Daniel how much she valued him, not just for his friendship, but for the man he was. She organized a company event and, in front of everyone, publicly promoted him to lead a new program for working parents. Applause filled the room, colleagues cheered, and Daniel stood there, quiet and humble, completely unaccustomed to this kind of attention. Even in the spotlight, he didn't boast. He thanked Alexandra simply, with that same calm dignity he always carried. His humility only made the praise feel more genuine, more deserved. People began to see him differently, not just as a janitor, but as a man of character, strength, and heart. And yet, the biggest question remained: how would Daniel handle this sudden recognition? Would he let it change him, or would he stay true to the man everyone had come to respect? This moment showed something important. Real success doesn't come from wealth or titles. It comes from integrity, kindness, and staying true to yourself. The lesson that stays with you forever. Over time, Daniel and Alexandra's friendship had grown into something truly special. They cared for each other, respected each other, and shared little moments that mattered more than anything else. It wasn't about money, status, or showing off. It was about heart, humility, and kindness. Daniel's patience and honesty had quietly humbled Alexandra, and her warmth and support had brought light into his world. Together, they showed something simple but powerful. Real connection doesn't come from wealth or power. It comes from respect, care, and understanding. This story reminds us that even small acts of kindness and a little patience can change lives. One person's heart can teach another what truly matters. If this story touched you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Let these stories inspire you to see the world, and the people around you, differently. So, what will you take from Daniel and Alexandra's journey? How will it change the way you treat the people in your life?